with refugee communities about issues.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees held its first Congress in Washington, D.C., which included refugees from around the world who have resettled here in the United States. Former and current refugees came together on this day to discuss their struggles, challenges, and prospects. The United Nations Refugee Agency holds its first Refugee Congress here at Georgetown University, not too far from the United States Capitol. This first Congress unites refugees and asylees from all around the world. This event aims to reduce statelessness and to give a voice to the oppressed and the persecuted from countries like Burma and Sudan. Alek Wek is a former Sudanese refugee and supermodel. She fled to England from Sudan when she was only a teenager. She came to Washington, D.C. to discuss the challenges that refugees endure and to urge the international community to assist refugees with resettlement.
Having these really scary dreams and then waking up in sweats and realizing it's okay now, it's not, nobody's gonna attack you or put you and your family in danger. So it took it didn't just go away straight away. It took some time to finally realize this is gonna be my new home.
This event addressed the 60th anniversary of the United Nations Refugee Convention. People came from around the world, disclosing the barriers they overcame. They united at workshops and discussion sessions during the event, talking about the trauma they lived and the future optimism they have about their new home country, the United States.
In America, I'm able to go to school and everything is liberating. I can go anywhere I want and do what I want. If I stayed in the refugee camp, I won't be able to drive or go outside of the compound. But here, I have a job. I drive and go to different states in the country. I'm very happy here.
Mullah is attending school and working part-time in the U.S. She fled to Thailand from Burma and was living in a refugee camp until she could resettle in the States. She now resides in Ohio. Like Mullah, Yimin Niche is also a Burmese refugee. She was trafficked at the age of 14 years old and luckily escaped with the help of UNHCR. She now lives in the States with foster parents.
I left home to search my real father. My stepdad was not good to me, so I left. Someone told me that my dad was in Thailand and I followed him to see my dad, but I was in a brothel. I escaped due to the help of one kind person. UNHCR later found me and brought me to the U.S.
Vincent Cochetel, UNHCR Representative, spoke to both former and current refugees about the successes of UNHCR over the past 60 years. This event was to pinpoint their desires and challenges to make resettlement easier and more accessible, he says. There are refugees from all around the world, from each continent, escaping religious and political persecution. Recently, people are fleeing from the fighting and famine in Somalia. The country currently suffers from the worst drought in more than half a century in the region.
Well, in relation to the response to the emergency in Somalia, so we have deployed emergency team both in Ethiopia and in Kenya in order to cope with the arrival. We have about 1,400 refugees arriving every day in Kenya and about 250 arriving every day in Ethiopia. Those arriving in Ethiopia are in a very bad shape physically. 50% of the kids are ill-nourished. So we concentrate our relief efforts on life-saving measures, so medical, food assistance, before they can get access to other services. That's a top priority.
With the current crisis in Somalia, the United Nations is sending aid into the country and urging different countries to accept more Somali refugees for resettlement. Former and current refugees say they are thankful to the UN's help and concern in each country's case. Although each refugee has their own individual challenges to overcome, refugees at this event say they are mostly thankful and content with the help and protection they have received from UNHCR. Kaylin, Voice of America, Washington.